could be because my belly got torn open by a bloodthirsty Eurydimus.
You said don't get scratched or you could die, and then you went and got scratched.
I didn't plan it, Meg. I didn't plan any of this. Jason getting killed. The Emperor's launching an attack on Camp Jupiter. None of it. Carrion eaters attacking us, trying to kill us, or being thrown down to earth in this pathetic mortal form by my father. And being given the hideous name of Lester Papadopoulos.
That is pretty bad. Almost as bad as this ID photo. Hey, your birthday's coming up.
It is? April the 8th. I don't remember being born in the spring.
Well, that's what it is now. That's like in 4 days.
Wait, why would Zeus give me a new birth date? I remember. I had a dream.
Another one?
Yes, Meg. As the former god of prophecy, I do have visions in my sleep. As I was saying, Commodus and Caligula were on a luxury yacht, and they were headed this way. Caligula had gathered his men and his weapons of mass destruction just in time for the blood moon. That's in like 4 days.
Sounds like Zeus has some fireworks planned for your party.
It must be a warning. Or if I know him, it's a threat.
Mean dads are the worst.
Oh, and I remember something else. In my dream, I was in a dark chamber, and there were undead soldiers all around me, and there was a skeletal presence with glowing purple eyes. Oh!
What's wrong?
Just thinking about it makes my belly hurt. It must be the person who sent the Euronymite to attack us.
They were pretty nasty, but you were useless as usual. Good thing we had some help.
We did have help. Thank goodness for Hazel. And now that we're back at Camp Jupiter, we have allies in Frank and Reyna. And they told me I should go to a bookstore and see a harpy named Ella and a cyclops named Tyson.
Yep.
Will you be joining me?
Nah, I gotta go to the stables. I need some unicorn horn shavings.
Unicorn horn shavings? For what?
They're good for healing.
Oh, Meg, you really care. That's so nice of you. Even if you throw your knives at me. It's horrible. But you know what? I just know. You just like unicorns.
So, they're cute. And with just a few adjustments, they'll make great weapons.
Weapons? You want to make non-violent magical creatures? You want to weaponize them?
Gotta go. And so do you. Don't do anything stupid. That's an order.
Yes, Master. Why, oh Father, did you bind me to this unbearable child? Hello, DC! How's everybody doing? Woo! Everybody here to have fun tonight? We're kicking off the Tyrant's Tomb Tour of Doom. Okay, everybody, get your phones out. Videos, pictures. Tell everybody you're here and they're not. Okay? Hashtag Tyrant's Tomb Tour of Doom. Okay, kids. Has anybody already gotten the book yet? Did you start reading? Who's already started reading? Who knows what's going to happen? This one right here, that hand went up first. Are you excited? Are you scared? You think somebody's going to die? All right. Well, let's find out. Okay, DC, Give a big welcome to the storyteller of the gods, your favorite Uncle Rick Riordan!
Wow. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Good looking crew of demigods tonight. I see a lot of you got the memo about wearing purple. Excellent. We're doing that in honor of Camp Jupiter, of course, because a lot of the book is taking place there. I am so happy that you guys could come out and share this night with me. You are among the first in the world to get your hands on this book. It doesn't come out officially until tomorrow, and you're definitely the first to get signed copies, because this is the first time I've done that. So thank you. What a fabulous place to launch the Tour of Doom. We are doing 8 cities in 8 days across the United States. But don't think of it as a bad sort of doom. Think of it as sort of a happy, sunshiny kind of doom. Yeah, because after all, what could happen bad in one of my books, right? I know, I'm sorry. Bad things happen in the books. It's true. And if you read the last one, The Burning Maze, that was sadder than most. It was sad for me too. But I saw that coming a mile away. I looked at these evil emperors, and I looked at Lester Papadopoulos, Apollo, in all his not-so-much glory, and I knew that something bad was going to go down, and sure enough, it did. But we have more adventure to come, so hopefully, the Tyrant's tomb will turn out a little better. I think these 2 pictures really tell the whole story, though. On the left, we have Lester, a.k.a. Apollo, hanging by his fingernails from a metal beam hundreds of feet above San Francisco, with Meg beneath him saying, "Please do not kick me in the face." While our old friend Reyna Avila Ramirez Arellano, courageous praetor of New Rome, leads the way, boldly fending off a flock of black chickens, apparently. Meanwhile, on the right, the author enjoys a relaxing vacation in Rome. Yes, I'm a very lucky guy. I get to do a lot of travel, and wherever I go, it eventually shows up in the books. This looks like the smile of a man who's come up with new ways to torture his characters and readers. That's because it is, yeah. In fact, it was on a trip like this where I first got the idea to do the Trials of Apollo. I love exploring Percy Jackson's world, and as you know, I've done a lot of books set there. The Percy Jackson series, of course, started it all, and really, that was a story that I first told just to my son as a bedtime story when he was 8 years old, and he was struggling with dyslexia and ADHD. He did not like school. The only thing he liked was Greek mythology. So I said, "Hey, I've taught Greek mythology for years. I was a middle school teacher. Why don't I tell you some stories just to kind of get your spirits up?" And one day I ran out of stories to tell him, so I made one up. I said, "Okay, once upon a time, there was a kid named, Percy Jackson." And I said, "And he had ADHD and dyslexia, just like you. And he found out that if you have those learning differences, there's a pretty good chance you're a demigod." And my son was like, "Yeah." And so Percy Jackson was born. I did the 5 books in that series, and then I went back to Percy's world with the Heroes of Olympus series. But I didn't want to do the same thing again all over. I didn't want it to be like just Percy Jackson 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I know I could have done that, and a lot of you guys would have been totally happy with that, but it would have made me bored. And if I'm feeling bored, I'm afraid that eventually it's going to creep into the writing, and it's just not going to be the same. So I said, okay, let's shake it up a little bit. Let's have 7 demigods, and they're all taking turns telling the story. At the beginning, that sounded great. Yeah, 7, that's a good number. I like that. And then I realized as I began to write, 7 is a lot. But somehow I managed to juggle them all and get them all to tell their version of the story. And then I said, you know what? I want to go back to Percy's world one more time, but I want to do it differently again. And on one of those trips I mentioned, I heard the story about how in mythology, twice, Apollo, the god, had been punished by his dad Zeus and sent down to work as a mortal slave for some kings of Greece. And I thought, wow, first of all, I didn't know Zeus could do that. That's kind of scary. Secondly, what did Apollo have to do to get grounded like that? So the idea of writing from the point of view of Apollo, I like Apollo. He's the god of all kinds of things. But let's be honest, Apollo's kind of full of himself, right? He's kind of a jerk, you know? And I didn't want to write a whole series with just this guy who's like, yeah, I'm cool. I met a monster, killed him. Yeah, it was no big deal. I thought that would be really boring. But then I said, well, if I have him go down and be a hopeless mortal, that could be interesting. Okay, now we're talking. A hopeless geek with no talent? These are my people. I can write about this. I like the fact that Apollo goes into this series and he thinks he's all that, and he soon finds out, yeah, he's really not. And not only that, he's got a boss who's this 12-year-old girl, and she's telling him what to do, and he's just really miserable. He goes on all these quests. He's got to fight these evil emperors and kill these monsters and do all this stuff that normally he would just tell the demigods to do. But a strange thing is happening as he goes through the books. He's finding out that this being human thing is really hard. And hopefully he's learning a little bit during the process, especially in the last book where, man, things did not go very well. Now, Tyrant's tomb, we're on the 4th book. He is heading to San Francisco, to the Roman demigod camp of Camp Jupiter. Yes. Apollo gets out of the plane, he gets in the car, and he's hoping for a nice, relaxing drive up the California coast. Not so much. This is a live shot of Apollo going off the side of the cliff with Meg next to him and a flesh-eating ghoul, a Euronymous, on the hood of their hearse. Yes, they're driving a hearse. Some of you may be able to figure out why. This is not a spoiler. This is just chapter 1. There's so much going on. They get to Camp Jupiter. Things are not going well there. They have this thing happening where zombies are like attacking the camp, and nobody's really sure why. Soon they find out there's a tyrant in a tomb. And they don't know who the tyrant is or where this tomb is, but he seems to be the one behind all the zombie attacks. So they're going to have to figure that out. Also, I do have to just warn you, the artwork that you're going to see in the presentation is taken from a lot of different places. Like there are some that are done for illustrations for promotionals. There are some that are done by John Rocco, who did my cover art for all the books. Thank you. Thank you. Some of these are from Riordan.com, which is Disney's site that they created for me. It's a great site, and they have their own kind of artwork. And some of them are from Viria, who is, thank you, who started out as a fan artist of my series, and then I hired her, and now she's my official artist for my website. So you may end up getting artistic whiplash looking at all these different versions, but as I always say, just remember, we'll roll with it, and the best image you will ever have is the one you create in your head when you read. No screen can ever beat that. So, what else is going on for Lester in this book? Well, here's an example of the artwork. I'm pretty sure that's not Viria. That is the Sibyl of Cumae, one of the ancient oracles that used to report to Apollo and do his bidding. And that is Apollo on the left and the Sibyl on the right. And Apollo is apparently like, oh God, she has dirt. What this is a picture of, basically back in the old days, Apollo being Apollo, thought that the Sibyl of Cumae was really cute and wanted to go out with her. And she said, no, it's like a working relationship here. I don't want to date you. And he says, no, come on, man. I'll take you to Olive Garden, get you some breadsticks. The Sibyl is like, I'm good, thanks. I've heard what happens to your boyfriends and girlfriends. They go up in flames and turn into trees and stuff like that. He says, no, man, it's all good. I'll give you any wish you want if you'll go out with me. And the Sibyl's like, yeah, right. I bet you wouldn't give me as many years of life as there are grains of sand on this beach. And Apollo's like, done, snaps his fingers. Now, come on, Olive Garden's waiting. And she's like, whoa, I didn't agree to anything. Hey, man, no, but thanks for the wish, since, you can't take it back. Thanks for the extra life. Apollo says, okay, you're going to be that way about it. Fine, you can have your extra years of life. I didn't say anything about health or youth. So you can stay alive as long as there are grains of sand on this beach, but you're going to get older and older and older. Have fun with that. So what if the Sibyl was still around today? What would she look like after 4,000 years? And how would she feel about Apollo? So Apollo's got that to look forward to. Great reunion. Not only that, but you have met some of the emperors, the evil triumvirate. They're trying to take over the world in the series. Well, you thought Caligula was bad. You thought Commodus was bad. In this book, you get both of them together, combining forces, and they're coming for Camp Jupiter and Apollo. They're coming to wipe them off the map. So there you've got Caligula, and there's Commodus, otherwise known as the dude who's going to play the Joker, which really is kind of the same role, I guess. Wow, it's going to be a tough ride. Fortunately, Apollo is not alone. He has friends like Meg McCaffrey. Meg, I love her. The daughter of Demeter, a dual wielder of golden scimitars, and the lord of all chia seeds. She is ready for battle. You're also going to see some old friends in this that you might remember from the Heroes of Olympus. For instance, Hazel Levesque. Hazel, daughter of Pluto, she is back in a big way in the Tyrant's tomb. And some of you have been asking me online about that old curse that Hazel had, where she used to be able to summon precious metal. But if you tried to spend it, bad things would happen to you. Some of you have been asking, is that still a thing? You will find out in this book. Also in this book, you will see Frank Zhang. That one's by Viria. Yes, the great shapeshifter, now praetor of New Rome, Frank Zhang. In this picture, he is like halfway turning into an animal, as you can tell. And as soon as I posted this online, one of my fans said, hey, look, Frank has the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Like, that's even worse than my dad jokes. It's like, that's a grandpa joke. Which, by the way, my son tells me a grandpa joke is a dad joke that has expired. So there you go. You will also see Ella the Harpy. Ella has a bibliographic memory, and she's been trying to help the Romans put back together the Sibylline prophecies. Well, she has a new home in New Rome, and she has a bookstore, and of course, like any good bookstore, she has a bookstore cat. That's Aristophanes, the bookstore cat, who, as Apollo puts it, is so large, he looks like he ate all the other bookstore cats. Also, of course, Ella has some help trying to put the prophecies together. Tyson the Cyclops. Yes, peanut butter. you may notice that Tyson is sporting some new ink. What's that about? Interesting. Well, if you've ever wanted to read a prophecy from a Cyclops' armpit, you're in luck. This is your chance. That's all I'll say about that. You're going to meet some new friends, too. One of my favorites, Lavinia Asimov. Lavinia, she's a Roman demigod. Her mom is Terpsichore, the muse of dance. She's into tap dancing. She has bright pink hair, as you can tell. She has enough gum for everyone in the auditorium, so don't worry. And her favorite weapon is the manuballista, which is a giant Roman version of the crossbow bolt. Manuballista basically translates into hand cannon. Yeah, so you'll be seeing her in action. And of course, we couldn't go to New Rome without seeing our old friend, Reyna. Reyna is back. She's important. Obviously, she's on the cover of the book. And there's a lot of questions about Reyna's prophecy, too. From the heroes of Olympus, you know that there was a prophecy about her heart not being healed by any demigod, by any mortal. And a lot of you have been pondering, what does that mean? And will we ever find out what happens? Yes, you will in this book. You will find out what it means. And as you can tell from Reyna's expression, she has zero time for Lester's foolishness. So, that's a look at the Tyrant's tomb, but there's so much more going on. Can you believe it's been 10 years since the heroes of Olympus started? Not even Percy Jackson, the heroes, the second series, been almost 10 years. That's amazing to me. I can't believe it's been that long. But to mark that occasion, Disney has decided to re-release the Heroes of Olympus series with new book covers, because they do that from time to time just to kind of freshen it up. And I know, if you grew up with one book cover, that's kind of like your cover, and we tend to feel very attached to those. I know I still have the covers for the Lord of the Rings and the Earthsea trilogy from back in the 70s, because I don't want new covers, I want my old ones. And that's totally cool. But this is a way for new readers to come into it. We found a fantastic new artist, Nyla Magruder, who has done a new look for it. So they're going to look like this when they come out. I especially like the Blood of Olympus. I think she did a nice job with that one. So those are out starting, I think, like today. And also, if you know anybody who hasn't read the books, they're also doing this thing. It's like kind of a sampler pack. They're putting out the first of each of the Greek and Roman books together, like Lightning Thief, The Lost Hero, and The Hidden Oracle. And then a bigger sampler pack with all of those, plus the Kane Chronicles first book and Magnus Chase. So, I mean, for a lot of you guys, you've already got the series, you've read them, so this isn't really going to help you. But if you know somebody who hasn't read the books and they kind of want a taste test, this is a great way to do that. Like, think of it as like the snack packs that they have the variety sizes, and you're not sure if you want the sour cream Lay's or you want the nacho flavored Doritos. Here you go. So that's happening. But what I'm most excited about, and you can see me smiling and holding some of these babies here. Just in the last year, I got to start my own little publishing company as part of Disney Publishing. It's an imprint called Riordan Presents. How did this come about? Well, over the years, a lot of you guys have had some great questions for me, like, for instance, I write about mythology. Rick, would you ever do Aztec mythology? Would you ever do Chinese mythology? Would you ever do Hindu mythology? There's so many cool world mythologies that you could do adventures based on. But in most cases, I knew that I just wasn't the right person to do that. Like, I love Hindu mythology, but I didn't grow up with it. I don't know it from the inside. And I thought, instead of me trying to take over all these world mythologies for myself, surely there are great authors out there that are writing stories kind of like Percy Jackson, but authors who are like from those cultures, who know them in a way I never could. And so instead of me writing them, I said, why don't I take my spotlight and I'll shine it on them and let them tell their stories. So that's what we're doing with Rick Riordan Present. I don't tell them what to write. I don't get the money from it. It's all their deal. They're telling the stories. But I can safely say that if you like my stuff, my editor and I have picked these stories, and we're pretty confident we can say, you'll like these too. A lot of action, a lot of humor, a lot of gods and monsters, the same kind of thing you hopefully like in my books. So we started with the series, Aru Shah, by Rosh Chakshi. Has been on the New York Times bestseller list. 2 books are already out, and there are 3 more coming out. Just has done a fantastic job exploring Hindu mythology. Then there's some of the artwork that they've done. You can find all that on Read Riordan too. Oh, and I forgot, we have sponsorship. Yeah, I found out that Aru Shah gives us a sponsorship for this, so let's see if I can get it to work.
Aru Shah and the End of Time is brought to you by Wisdom Cookies. Everyone knows that books are great because they have so much knowledge, but they're hard to eat, and try snacking them on the go. Wisdom Cookies pack the nutritional properties of not 1, not 2, but several ancient texts.
Wow!
And they're pandavalicious. So, when you're staring down the end of time and searching for the celestial weapons, there's no time to make bad decisions. And there's no time to eat several large books. So have a cookie. A wisdom cookie.
Well, there you go, Wisdom Cookies. Good stuff. And then we came out with a second series from J.C. Cervantes, Jennifer Cervantes, who writes a fabulous series. It's set in New Mexico, but it's about Maya mythology and Aztec mythology. Fantastic stuff. Her first 2 books are out, also both New York Times bestsellers already. And here are a few of the characters you'll see from that series. You can find out more on readriordan.com. And, oh wait, more sponsorship? I love commercials.
The Storm Runner is brought to you by New Mexico, land of enchantment. Spend your next vacation in a place of breathtaking natural beauty, vivid culture, and absolutely no plague of supernatural reckoning. New Mexico's got it all. Take a walk through time, reach new plateaus, or simply take in the streets. Say, did you know that New Mexico has volcanoes? What do you imagine lives inside a volcano?
There's stuff that lives in them?
Let's talk about other stuff. Where'd you get that gorgeous turquoise?
Did that say death god?
Maybe.
I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable.
Aw, are you scared of demons?
Can you just get us out of here, please?
Come visit New Mexico, where there's nothing to worry about.
Since we've been running that ad, their tourism is through the roof. And then there's Dragon Pearl by Yoon Ha Lee, which is so awesome. If you can imagine Korean mythology meets Star Wars, that's what this is. It's fox spirits in space. Space. Also a New York Times bestseller, fantastic book. And do we have any characters? Oh, we do. There's a few of my favorites, Min Sujin and Hanyul, and we have a sponsorship deal from them too.
Dragon Pearl is brought to you by Ghee. It's the life energy that flows through all of us. It's flowing through you right now. And your friend Jerry. It flows through dogs and hamsters. It flows through this rock and even this old Jinju transport. But it doesn't always flow perfectly. Hey, maybe you can help by learning more about geomancy and the foundations of principle, pattern, reason, coherence. Learn this and more at the Thousand World Space Forces. If you've ever dreamed of leaving your planet for bigger and bolder adventures, the Thousand World Space Forces is for you. Join today and live tomorrow.
Sign me up. Can you tell I love these books? It's so cool to see all these different authors doing different takes on folklore and mythology and doing so many different cool things with them. Carlos Hernandez did one of my favorites, Sal and Gabby Break the Universe, which is set in a Miami middle school. And Sal, one of the characters, discovers he has the ability to reach into alternate universes and pull things out into our universe. Can you imagine ways that this might get you in trouble? Just a few, yeah. So that is an amazing book. Here's some of the characters from that series. I liked this series so much, I shared the book with Ricks from all kinds of alternate realities. And they all loved it. Although I'm not really convinced Roman Rick knows how to read. Nevertheless, great book. And coming next month, oh, I'm so excited about this. Kwame Imbalia is going to blow you away with Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. Comes out in just 1 month, and this is based on African American folklore and West African mythology. And this book I don't even know what to say about it. It's so cool. Well, you can kind of tell just from the cover. The book is even cooler than that. So that's coming out next month. Be sure to pick up a copy. So many other things coming out. Next year, looking ahead, Rebecca Rowanhorse is doing a book on Diné, otherwise known as Navajo mythology. That's so cool. Aru Shah comes back with book 3, The Tree of Wishes. Sal and Gabby Fix the Universe, I should hope so. Comes out after that. And Paola Santiago and the River of Tears is based on one of my favorite folk legends that I knew growing up in South Texas, La Llorona, the weeping woman. And I guarantee you, when I heard this first, we used to go camping in Texas. I never slept at night because I was so afraid of La Llorona. And as soon as you read this book, I'm hoping you'll be just as terrified as I was. So all of that is happening. And if you want a little bit more about Camp Jupiter, there's also a companion book coming out. This is a shorter book, but it is a diary by a probatio, one of the young people just going through Camp Jupiter, so you can see day to day, what would it be like if you were part of the Roman legion? Wow, all of that is happening. And Lester, of course, will be back one more time for the Trials of Apollo, the 5th book, which will be called The Tower of Nero. Obviously, I don't want to spoil anything for you since you just got the 4th book. So all I can really tell you is we're going back to where this series began, which means we're going back to New York, which means Camp Half-Blood. Who will you see from Camp Half-Blood? You'll have to wait and find out, but you will see some friends that you know. Not to worry about that. Wow! And that's a lot of stuff, which brings me to my favorite part of all, Q&A. Now, when you guys came in, a lot of you filled out questions on these cards, and Stephanie and Seal, my editor and publicist, who were the two that were hamming it up here earlier, they have picked out the most confounding, the most amazing, the most original and interesting questions to stump me with. These are your questions. I have not read them yet, but let me see how I can do answering them. Okay. This is from Cam. What inspired you to make So many diverse characters. P.S. No matter how much I read, I can't spell. Yeah, because you totally spelled everything right in that sentence. I don't know what you're worried about. It totally fine. Well, I mean, there's a lot of kinds of kids in the world, right? I mean, we're not all the same. And it's really nice to be able to read a book about kids that look like you, right? I mean, you kind of want to know that. And, you know, obviously, I'm just an old white guy, you know, and so I don't know everybody's experience, but I do think it's really important to say, yeah, absolutely. You know, whoever you are, whatever your experience is, you are absolutely welcome to be a demigod. Absolutely. I see you and you're important. So that's the short answer. Taylor would like to know if you could trade lives for a week with one of your characters, which would it be? Who's the safest? Grover? No. He has to eat 10 cans. Jeez, Annabeth? No, man, no. Are you kidding? Annabeth has all kinds of, she's like always fighting for her life, and I'm not smart enough to trade places with her. Geez, I don't know. Probably maybe Connor Stoll in the Hermes cabin. Then because I can goof around. I can do that pretty well. Yeah, I think that's what I'd have to go with. Or maybe Magnus Chase from the... I mean, I gotta say, living in the Hotel Valhalla, that's a pretty sweet life. I wouldn't mind doing that. All right, this one is anonymous. It is, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Shockingly, I wanted to be a writer. No, seriously, I did. And a teacher. I wanted to do both of those things. Both of my parents were teachers. So I am a really lucky guy. I got to do both of those things, and I loved both of them, and I still do. I don't teach anymore, but I kind of feel like I'm still a teacher in a way. It's just that I have millions of you guys in my class, and I don't have to grade your papers. Ooh, wow, Taylor, you're killing it tonight. You got picked twice, randomly. Does Percy know how to swim correctly? Or does he depend on his ability to control the water? You know, I have to say, I keep thinking I've seen every possible question. I have never seen this question, so good job. I don't think he's ever been trained. Well, no, I take that back. When he went to high school, the last high school he went, he was on the swim team. So he must have had some training in the actual different types, like the breaststroke and the backstroke and all of that. I don't know swimming, but yeah, I'm sure he had training at some point. Michael would like to know, are there any special changes you had to make last minute? Like anything you decided to take out for special reasons? Not often, but occasionally. I'll give you a for instance. In The Last Olympian, the fifth Percy Jackson book, yeah, my editor at the time, I was working with a different editor, and she was wonderful, but she really thought that the book was getting too long. And she said she was worried that things were going to get out of control. There was this one scene we decided to cut. Looking back on it, I kind of wish we hadn't cut it. And you can find it on my blog if you're really interested. I mean, it's not very long. But there was this one scene where during the Battle of Manhattan, when the whole city's asleep, and Percy and Grover are like running around trying to save everybody at the same time, they stumble across Nancy Bobofet, the bully from the first book. And she's asleep in the street. And Percy has to look, he looks down at her, and Grover looks at Percy and says, "What do we do?" It's like, do you want to draw a mustache on her? Or Percy thinks about it and how easy it would be to do something like that, but he kind of realizes how much he's grown up since he was 12. And now he's like, I don't really feel any kind of anger toward her. He says, no, let's just move her out of the street, out of harm's way. And they continue on. But I really like that scene. Anonymous Asking the real questions. Cats or dogs? I have them both. I love cats and I love dogs, so really hard to choose. But my little dog, Speedy, kind of has taken over my heart, so she's pretty special to me. Bryn would like to know, am I making another Magnus Chase book? Oh, well, okay. I will be honest with you, after I finish the 5th Trials of Apollo book, I'm not sure what I will do next. I'm sure that I'll keep writing because I love writing books. And as long as you guys want to read them, I'll keep writing them. But I don't know. Let's find out. Would you guys like another Magnus Chase book? Okay. All right, duly noted. I will take that into consideration. KD would like to say, what's your philosophy when it comes to writing? I'm supposed to have a philosophy? How many hours a day do you write? What's your editing process? Okay, cool question. Also, do you do National Writing Month? I don't. I think it's a great way to get started on a manuscript. I can't imagine finishing one in a month, but hey, if you can do it, fantastic. Go for it. My process has changed a lot over the years. First of all, with writer's block, best advice I can give you on that. First of all, make a map of what you're doing. I learned that the hard way. Like outline, yeah, that's good. It doesn't have to be like really detailed. It can be just like a line for each chapter, but it gives you something so you don't get halfway through and say, I don't know. Then write the whole first draft. Do not stop. You're going to think it's horrible. Probably it is horrible. Mine is every single time I do a first draft. Still, keep going anyway. Doesn't matter. Just finish the whole thing, the whole book. Then you can go back and revise all you want. And what you're going to find is, first of all, you know how to revise now that you finished the book. And second, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was. So try that. That's my process. How many hours a day? That really depends. Like Percy, I'm very ADHD. Some days it's a lot, some days it's a little. Catherine would like to know, how has writing changed the way you read? Oh, yeah. Excellent question. I do find that if I'm reading middle grade stuff, it kind of feels more like work for me, unfortunately. I love it, but I'm always looking like, how did that author do that? That's interesting. I'll analyze that. And so I find that I read more YA, I read nonfiction, I read adult mysteries, most of the time just for myself. What has been the hardest thing about the writing career? Deadlines. You'd think I would have this figured out by now, right? Nope. Every time I start a book, I'm like in a panic. I'm like, okay, I've just been fooling everybody for the last 30 books. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have totally forgotten how to write a book. But every time, somehow, I manage. Okay, Carter would like to know, where do Romulus and Remus, Reyna's dogs, go whenever they disappear? The woods? I don't really know. I mean, they do kind of disappear a lot. What book are you reading right now? And are you liking it? Would you recommend it to me? And Henry, this is Henry, and Henry is 10. Okay. Right now I'm reading several books. I usually have like 2 or 3 going at the same time. And I don't know if you would like them or not. They're kind of violent. They're YA books. Well, I don't know. Would you consider them YA? One is called The Dragon Republic. It's a fantasy book that's sort of set in a fantasy version of China. It's really fantastic, but it's very, very violent. The other is The Priory of the Orange Tree, which is another fantasy. It's just kind of a fantasy. I mean, it's good for YA. It's good for adult readers. I don't know if you like it or not, but it's got dragons in it and a lot of really cool characters. And final question, Zachary. What inspired you to write The Trials of Apollo? Well, I've always liked Apollo, even though he is a bit of a jerk. And I really like punishing the gods. So I figured, let's make him into a hapless mortal and make him fall all over himself, and then I'll feel better about me. So I guess that's the answer. You guys were fantastic. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the new book.
Okay, guys, give it up one more time for Uncle Rick Riordan. Thank you also to Politics and Prose for allowing us to come and spend the evening with you. Margaret Orto and her staff, you're great. Thank you so much. Everybody at the Listener Auditorium, thank you so much. Enjoy your t-shirts, get home safe, and have a good evening.